Hey everybody. Okay, as you can see, I'm sick. And we are on take 4. This is the 4th time I've tried to record. I'm hoping I don't get interrupted this time. To be fair, past few times weren't much better. We're talking about basically the long and short, Hubbard stealing parts of Crowley's work for Scientology, directly or indirectly. To me, it's all directly, but I mean, that's my opinion. And I apologize, I'm readjusting because I don't like how the camera's sitting. Like I said, I'm sick, not dressing up. I don't care that much right now. Originally, I was going to make this a chat with me and Cheryl or Aaron or Natalie. Unfortunately, because the past few months have been hell, and I don't just mean for me, I mean for everybody involved. At one point, I even considered doing it with Jenna, and then shit hit the fan with Jenna. Everything's just been insane, is basically what it comes down to. Cheryl's been in and out of town, which, don't blame her. I am happy for her. She is happy, so I am happy. It's all good. I do really wish she would do this with me, though. I need her humor right now. Aaron's been going through a lot between basically Scientology making his life a living hell the past few months. And the community drama. And wrangling all that in podcasts and everything. And he doesn't check his emails, or he doesn't answer his emails all the time. Which, I get it. I love him. I will give him a hard time. I will pick on him because I care about him. He is a friend because Cheryl is a friend. Cheryl is a good friend of mine. Met her protesting, which was how I met Aaron, and inadvertently also how I kind of met Natalie. I mean, I was with Cheryl when she did her initial, her first run after John Travolta in his car. That was the first video I ever did. That was 4th of July weekend. I think it was on 4th of July of last year. No, not last year, year before, 2024. It sucks that it's already 2026 and now everything's blurring together and I gotta refigure things in my head. But, and with Natalie, she just moved. She's got a new job. She's been kind of burnt out for a while. Again, I don't blame anyone, honestly. We've all been through it. And Aaron's sick. I'm sick. I want to blame Aaron for me having a cold, even though that is not really possible. It's just me making friendly jabs. It really is. I'm trying to joke and make light, even though I feel like shit. Honestly, I should just blame my stepdaughter because it's probably her fault. She probably brought something home from school. Because high school is a cesspool. Let's be real. Okay, so to the topic at hand. Enough of me ranting. Again, love everybody. I'm not throwing shade. I'm really not. I feel like crap. And I'm trying to make light. And I know this is going to be a hot mess. So, let's ride this dumpster fire down the hill and learn about how Hubbard stole from Crowley. That was actually kind of good. I'm kind of proud of myself for that one. So, let's start with our key people. Crowley was born in 1875 October of 1875. He died. Again, I apologize. I'm going to be coughing this whole time. The past few takes were so much worse. I'm trying to keep it together. But anyways, Crowley died in December of 1947. He was an interesting person. People considered him evil or demonic or all these other things. That's kind of what flew through the rumor mill. While he was alive, even his own mother called him the Beast. It was basically saying he was evil because of how he was. And he, weirdly enough, he was raised very strict. I want to say it was along the lines of like a strict Protestant, puritanical Christian family. Went to a Christian school, whole 9 yards. I think he went to Cambridge. I did 2 other videos on Crowley on my other channel. If you're interested, leave a comment and I will leave you links. Or if you're really that interested, I can bring them over here. I have no problem with it. But yeah, Crowley was considered evil and all this other stuff. The only thing that was evil, he really wasn't evil. He was weird, but he wasn't evil. He was brilliant, but he was weird. The reason he was called evil is because he was bisexual. And because part of his practice was practicing sex magic. And he procured workers to help him with his work, basically. But he was considered evil for it. So, it's one of those things where it was a different time. And things just kind of, rumor mill carries over. And especially when people don't know the full story, it looks really bad out of context. So, okay. He was the founder of Thelema, head of the Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO. That's how I'm going to refer to any of those as the OTO. Yes, I know. It sounds very similar. Before he founded Thelema, which is a practice. Some people call it a religion. Realistically, it's a practice. He was part of the Golden Dawn and the Hermetic Society. When he was basically one ended and essentially started the other. It's a weird thing. I could dive into my books and recall exactly which order it is. I don't have the energy to do that right now. But, so after he finished with those, he went on his honeymoon with his wife at the time and wrote the Book of Law. This was written in 1904. Please keep that in mind later on in the video. I will probably mention it again, but anyways. So, John Whiteside Parsons, also known as Jack Parsons. That's how everybody referred to him, was Jack Parsons. He was born in October of 1914. He died in June of 1952. He was a pioneering rocket scientist. And he was the co-founder of what became NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. He was a devout follower of Crowley's and eventually became the head of the Agape Lodge OTO in Pasadena, which I consider it the California location as much as people would consider, as much as the average person would consider, like Big Blue, the Los Angeles Scientology headquarters to be the Scientology location in LA. That's kind of how that OTO thing plays in my head. To me, OTO Pasadena was probably the OTO of California. I could be wrong, though, so don't quote me on it. I'm just saying how I see it. Like I said, he was a devout disciple of Crowley. They were actually pretty close. Hubbard was born in March 1911. He died January of 1986. He was a fiction writer, a science fiction writer his whole life. But the bulk of his science fiction writing was in the 1930s, 1940s. And then he founded Scientology in 1950. Please keep this in mind as well later on in the video. Because, again, we're talking about Hubbard taking from Crowley. Hubbard didn't start Scientology until after Crowley passed away. And the Book of Law was written before Hubbard was born. Most of Crowley's books, I am guessing, were written before Hubbard even met Parsons. That's just something to take in consideration. And Crowley, just backtracking a tiny bit. Thelema was considered a spiritual and philosophy. Nope, those words are not going to work. Not working. Basically, by all accounts, Thelema was considered a practice or a spiritual philosophy system. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Philosophical. No, my brain does not compute right now. But its motto is, "Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law." He took this from an old French book of some sort. I can't remember the name of it. Again, I quoted it in I named it in a video on my other channel. If you are interested, please leave me a comment. Tell me. I will send you over there. Or, more so, I can always add it here. I can redo it, put it here, or I should be able to find a way to download it and then re-upload it over here. But, so, Hubbard met Parsons in early 1945. 1945, after World War II, Hubbard moved to LA and moved into 1003 South Orange Grove Avenue in Pasadena, which was called the Parsonage. The house served as an OTO lodge, boarding house, and a hub for artists, engineers, and occultists. This was basically where Parsons ran the OTO in Pasadena. I don't think there was another location in Pasadena for the OTO. I could be wrong. But, nonetheless. Parsons originally liked Hubbard. In a letter to Crowley, Parsons had wrote, "Hubbard is a gentleman. He has an extraordinary amount of experience and understanding in the field." He wrote that to Crowley in 1945. This is quoted from a book called The Magical Link. Parsons believed Hubbard possessed magical insight, clairvoyant abilities, and leadership potential. In the end, he might have been right about one of those. I'm still debating on it, but I mean, to run a cult, you have to have leadership potential, I guess. So, January to March of 1946, they basically conducted what was considered the Babylon working in Pasadena and the Mojave Desert. Those were the only spots. Ow, sorry, my knee. Those were the only places where I saw that they had done it. It could have been done other places as well. I'm not sure. The purpose was to incarnate Babylon, a divine female figure described in Crowley's The Book of Law. It was intended to initiate a new Thelemic current. Basically, Parsons' goal was to incarnate Babylon and take Thelema to a whole nother level. Sorry, Aaron, had to. It's not like he watches this, but the structure of it, Parsons was a ritual magician. Hubbard was a scribe, as well as an active ritual participant. No matter what you did, you were an active participant of the ritual. Any ritual that is done, you are considered an active participant no matter what you do. Unless you were literally just out on the sidelines watching. The workings included Enochian invocations, sex magic, and automatic writing, and astral visualization. I know, you're asking, what is astral visualization? Basically, it's visualizing and energy work all together. There are separate planes, our realm, then there's astral realm, and then there's stuff above that. For those that believe that astral is a thing. It's one of those things that unless you are actively studying it and trying to do it, it is very hard to explain to someone who is not familiar with magical workings whatsoever. Not so much because it is actually a hard thing to explain, but because it sounds absurd to the normal person. And hi, I am not a normal person. And just because someone practices magic does not mean they go astral. Does not mean they are evil. Does not mean they are the devil. I will get off my soapbox now. Parsons wrote a diary entry in February of 1946. It said, "I called forth the elemental force, and it came forth and possessed the woman." It can be found in George Padell's Strange Angel. Now, during this whole time, Parsons was dating someone called Sarah Northrup. Well, in mid-1946, Hubbard started a relationship with Sarah, probably while Parsons was still in a relationship with her. And Parsons probably didn't know. Hubbard also proposed a business venture. Yes, that business venture. More likely. Which Parsons invested most of his savings in. Now, Crowley did not like Hubbard. Crowley never met Hubbard in person. After learning about Hubbard through Parsons' letters, Crowley strongly disliked and distrusted Hubbard. It was one of those things where you know when things don't add up and things seem kind of shady. If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That sort of thing. In a letter he called Hubbard a confidence man, also known as a con man. He also said at one point that apparently Parsons and Hubbard or somebody is producing a moonchild, referring to the Babylon workings. He wrote to Carl Germer in April of 46. Right before Parsons invested everything, that I get fairly frantic when I contemplate the idiocy of these louts, referring to Parsons and Hubbard. Because at this point, he had been warning Parsons that Hubbard was manipulating him. And Parsons did not want to listen. And did not listen. Let me show you the results of him not listening. Well, let me tell you. So, in June of 1946, Hubbard took Sarah Northrop to Florida. They fled to Florida. They took the money with them. Parsons later recovered some of the funds by legal action, but the damage was severe. The damage was done. He was done. Parsons lost most of his money, lost his girl, lost Crowley's trust, and was expelled from OTO leadership. I'm not sure if he was expelled from OTO entirely or if it was just leadership. It's debatable. So, Crowley... Okay. Sorry, I was double checking something. Yeah. Crowley warned Parsons repeatedly, ordered him to break off the relationship. Crowley was, though, at that time, because remember, this happened the last year and a half of Crowley's life. He died in December of 1947. Crowley was in poor health. He could not travel. He was living in England. And Crowley had died in December of 1947, after the damage was basically done and in its height. And because of Parsons' delayed action and ignoring, he basically lost everything. Honestly, I kind of feel sorry for the gullible sap. But we're going to talk about what Hubbard took from Crowley, from Crowley's work. Again, remember, most of what Crowley wrote was written before Hubbard even met Parsons, if not all of it. His first book was written before Crowley was born. I believe 10 years before Crowley was born. Let me double check that. Oh, I'm sorry. 6 years before Hubbard was born. 5 or 6. Anyways. So. The true self. In the Lima, in the Book of Law, Crowley wrote, "Every man and every woman is a star." Scientology. This was written in the Fundamentals of Thought in 1956. Man is basically good. He is a spiritual being. Both posit a innate, powerful spiritual identity. Spiritual obstruction. Crowley, from Magic Without Tears. The natural function of the mind is to interfere with the will. Hubbard. The reactive mind is the source of all sorrows. That's from Dianetics in 1950. Past lives and amnesia. Crowley, from Magic in Theory and Practice. The ego is destroyed again and again and rebuilt. Hubbard, the whole track contains trillions of years of instants. That comes from, and this is why I needed someone else, this comes from one of his, I think it was a lecture or something. 8-8008 was what it's marked as from where I pulled it up. But I think it was a lecture that got transcribed and became doctrine. The initiatory grades. The OTO, which is Thelema, goes from degrees 0 to 10, which it's done Roman numeral style, so it's X. Scientology is pre-clear to OT8, though it's supposed to go to OT15. I wouldn't swear to it. I don't remember if that was supposed to be the last level or not. But it was never fully completed. He only got to OT8 before he passed, even though it was said that he hit all the OT levels before he died. He did them all. And then he went beyond and now is in Target 2 and all that mess. Supposedly. Both restrict advanced teachings to higher levels. Basically, in both, the higher levels are confidential to some degree. You have to go to a specific place to learn them, and it can only be done in this place. More likely, with the higher degrees in OTO, you had to go all the way to England to learn. So you could learn it from Crowley, which realistically is not insane. Unlike with Scientology, where you end up with a briefcase handcuffed to your wrist, and you're wandering around and you're going to the flag building for some of them, and then you're going on a freaking cruise ship for the last one or two. It's insane. It really is. In my opinion. So, spiritual practices and technology. Crowley. Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. That's from his book, Magic in Theory and Practice. Hubbard. Scientology is a precision science. That's just quoted from one of his lectures. What Hubbard did not use in Scientology was ritual magic, symbolic deities, ceremonial invocations, and mythic languages. I mean, unless you count Body Thetan and Xenu, so. But instead, he psychologized occult concepts, used sci-fi and scientific and sci-fi framings, and marketed spirituality as mental engineering. Basically, he took the spirit, the essence of what Thelema is, and this is in my opinion, okay, he took the essence of Thelema and what he learned in his short time practicing Thelema, and essentially used that to make his cult, and added sci-fi and naval structure. That is all Scientology is. I mean, outside of the money laundering, the scamming and scheming with all the real estate schemes, the human trafficking, the not reporting assaults to legal authorities like you're supposed to under the Camera Act. You know, I mean, at least with Thelema, it was not shady. It was a spirituality thing. People actually believed what they were doing and what they were working on, and there wasn't any nasty business on the back end, and it wasn't actually hurting anyone. Anyone who practiced it typically did so willingly. I have not seen anything about someone who did not practice willingly. But and I'm trying to make sense of it, honestly. Because you've got to think, for 1 year, basically, Parsons connected Hubbard to Crowley's world. Hubbard did all of this research. Somehow in a year got super deep into it. Deep enough to do the Babylon workings in 46. Crowley had recognized Hubbard was dangerous and was unable to act in time to prevent the damage. And all Scientology is based, or has been doing, it just reflects the occult philosophies. All of the philosophies, pretty much, stripped of ritual and stripped of magic, and replace the rituals and magic with auditing and sci-fi. It's literally, in my eyes, he basically took Thelema and repackaged it to try to make it his own, even though it wasn't. Which is a shame. It really is. And by all technicality, he supposedly did not directly steal from Thelema. I would like to pose that he did. Honestly. Everything is so similar. It is literally the same thing, just reworded differently and with a sci-fi pretty picture on it. and turned into a alternative form to psychotherapies or psychology or psychiatry or however you want to put it, therapy. And it's a shame. It really is. Because I would, and I hate saying this because I would not be surprised if someone tried to come after me for this. And I am saying this as my opinion and my opinion alone. If Hubbard did not meet Parsons, I don't think Scientology would have existed. I really don't. Because he's banked everything around basically all of Crowley's work. And realistically, the books that Crowley's written, it does not take that long to read it and study it and learn it. A year would be about the time it would take to study it, unfortunately. But on that note, everybody have a wonderful day. And I will talk to you later. Bye.